Deadwood, Dakota Territory, spring of 1885. The rain had stopped, but the mud still clung to Eli Turner's boots as he made his way down Main Street. The wooden planks of the boardwalk creaked beneath his steps, and the dim glow of lanterns cast long shadows on the puddles. It was nearly midnight, but Deadwood never truly slept, not the Deadwood that Eli knew. Saloons hummed with the sound of clinking glasses and out-of-tune pianos. Brothel windows flickered with cheap candlelight, and on every corner the promise of ruin or fortune dangled like bait on a hook. Eli pulled his worn hat lower over his eyes and stepped into the Silver A Saloon. The stale stench of whiskey cigar smoke and desperation filled his lungs as he crossed the threshold. This wasn't where respectable ranchers came for a drink. This was where men like Eli, washed-up gunslingers, gamblers, and outlaws, in hiding gathered when they'd run out of good options. The silver race was crowded tonight. Cowboys, still caked with trail dust, leaned against the bar miners, waved their pay in the air, and gamblers, sharp-eyed, smooth-tongued, hovered around the poker tables like vultures. Eli scanned the room until his gaze landed on a familiar face. Clay Rourke. Rourke hadn't changed. Same slick smile, same snake-like eyes, same fancy embroidered vest that looked wildly out of place in this mud-stained town. Years ago, they'd shared a table and nearly killed each other over a rigged game. Tonight, fate had circled them back together. Turner Rourke called, raising his glass with mock cheer. "Heard your cattle ain't faring much better than your luck these days." Eli kept his face impassive as he approached the table. "Funny, Rourke, I figured you'd be in jail by now. Or a coffin." Rourke laughed, the sound oily and hollow. "Deadwood's full of surprises. Care for a game?" Eli hesitated. His pride told him to walk away, but the memory of the Silver Creek Ranch drive fields, sick cattle, and the quiet disappointment in Rosalind's eyes held him there. He was out of options. His savings were gone, the bank breathing down his neck, and the thought of losing the only home they'd built together gnawed at his insides. "What's the buy-in?" Eli asked. Rourke's grin widened. "High stakes tonight, Turner, $500, or whatever else a man might have of value." Eli's jaw tightened. "I ain't got that kind of cash." "Lucky for you," Rourke drawled. "There's a side wager." He snapped his fingers, and one of his men dragged a figure forward from the shadows. A girl, thin, grimy, no older than 13. Her tangled dark hair framed a sharp-featured face that might have been pretty if not for the bruises and defiant scowl. But it was her eyes that froze Eli cold, calculating too old for her years. Wolf eyes. "Street rat from the alleys," Rourke explained casually, "owes me more than she could ever repay. So she's collateral. Win the hand, you win the girl. Lose, well, you walk out with empty pockets and more regret." Eli's stomach twisted. The thought of gambling for a child turned his gut, but pride, desperation, and the memory of Silver Creek's failing fences drowned his better judgment. The girl met his gaze unflinching. No fear, only a flicker of something sharper, contempt. Maybe pity. It unsettled him. "What's your name, kid?" Eli asked quietly. "Clara," she replied, voice rough as gravel. "Clara Bell." Rourke chuckled. "She's got spirit, might make good ranch help if you win." "Of course." Eli's fists clenched at his sides. He didn't trust Rourke, never had, never would. But walking away meant more than losing pride tonight. It meant Silver Creek Rosalind's dream. His last chance would wither to dust. "Deal the cards," Eli said. The game was 5-card draw. No wilds, no mercy. The room hushed as chips clacked onto the table. Eli's heart pounded as he eyed his hand, decent, but not unbeatable. Rourke smirked, confidence oozing from every pore. The final draw came. Eli discarded 2 Drew replacements. His fingers trembled not from fear, but from the electric hum of desperation. "Full house. Show them," Rourke ordered. Eli laid his cards down chest tight. Rourke's smirk faltered as he revealed his own hand astraight. Good, but not good enough. The room erupted in low murmurs. Rourke's eyes darkened, dangerous simmering. "Looks like the girl's yours," he said, voice slick with false charm. Eli stood pocketing the meager winnings. I didn't come for this, but I ain't leaving her here. Clara Belle stepped forward, her expression unreadable. But her eyes, those wolf eyes, gleamed with something Eli recognized. Survival. Let's go, he told her. As they pushed through the saloon doors into the night, Eli couldn't shake the feeling he'd just won far more and far less than he bargained for. And somewhere in the shadows, Clay Rourke watched them go, a predator's smile curling his lips. Deadwood's full of surprises, Eli muttered. He had a feeling this was just the beginning. The wagon wheels groaned under the weight of supplies as Eli Turner guided the horses west away from Deadwood toward the rolling hills that cradled Silver Creek Ranch. The sky overhead was a dull leaden gray, the kind that made the land seem endless and empty. A biting wind blew down from the black hills, stirring dust and the faint coppery smell of rain. Beside him sat the girl, Clara Belle. She was small, wiry, nothing but elbows and suspicion wrapped in threadbare clothes. Eli had tossed his old canvas duster around her shoulders, but it hung off her like a tarp on a fence post. She sat straight-backed, legs dangling above the wagon floor, arms crossed, tight eyes sharp and restless. Wolf eyes, Eli thought again. Eyes that didn't miss a thing. They'd ridden for nearly an hour without a word exchanged. You always this quiet? Eli finally asked, his voice low, rough from too many cigarettes and too many disappointments. Clara shrugged. Never looking away from the horizon. Depends. On what? On whether a man's worth talking to. Eli huffed out a dry laugh. Fair enough. Silence settled again. The rhythmic clop of hooves and the creak of wagon wood the only sounds. They passed a patch of prairie dotted with scrub brush and the skeletons of old cattle fences. In the distance, the black silhouette of the hills loomed jagged like broken teeth. Eli adjusted his grip on the reins. You work for Rourke long. Clara's eyes flicked toward him. Unreadable. I worked near him. Never for him. Same difference. Far as I see it, not to me. Her voice was steel under silk flat. Controlled. Too old for her 13 years. Eli recognized the tone. He'd heard it in the saloons in the back rooms of Deadwood on the lips of men and women who'd been chewed up by the world and spat back out meaner than they went in. You owe him money. Clara's lips twitched into something that wasn't quite a smile. I owed him my hand. Eli frowned. Say again caught me stealing bread from one of his stores. Could have taken my hand for it. Man's got a taste for lessons like that. She turned back to the trail. Offered me a deal instead. Run messages, watch doors, count coin. Stay quiet. Eli's stomach knotted. Rourke always did like to make examples out of folks. And Clara, small and scrappy as she was, would have been easy prey. You steal from him again? Eli asked. No. Why'd he stake you in a card game? Clara's jaw tightened. Because I stopped being useful, and because men like him. They like reminding folks you can always fall lower. Eli fell quiet. The wind picked up, whistling through the wagon spokes. Somewhere in the distance, a hawk cried. You hungry? He asked after a moment. Clara shrugged. Ate yesterday. Maybe. Well, Rosalind'll see you fed. She don't abide skinny folks in her house. Clara's expression flickered, doubt, disbelief, maybe even the barest sliver of hope. But it vanished quick, replaced by that guarded, wolfish stare. They crested a rise, and the land opened below them. Silver Creek Ranch sprawled across the valley, nestled beside the winding creek that gave it its name. The ranch house stood weathered but proud, its wooden frame painted white long ago, now faded and chipped. A barn leaned slightly to one side, fences sagged along the cattle pastures, and the few remaining cows grazed listlessly, their ribs showing through patchy hides. It wasn't much, but it was home. Eli reined in the horses by the porch. This is it. Clara surveyed the place with a cool, calculating eye. Looks half dead, ain't wrong, Eli admitted. But it's ours. The front door swung open. Rosalind Turner appeared on the porch, arms folded across her chest, blonde hair tucked under a worn bonnet. Her eyes locked onto Clara immediately. Eli Turner, what in God's name? This is Clara Bell. Eli cut in, climbing down. She's... Help! Help. Rosalind's sharp gaze didn't waver. She's a child. Child or not, she's sharp. We could use an extra pair of hands. And Eli trailed off, uncertain how to explain the poker game, the desperation, the girl's wolfish stare. Clara slipped off the wagon, landing lightly in the mud, her chin tilted up defiant. Rosalind's eyes narrowed. How old are you? 13, Clara replied. 14 come winter. Rosalind studied her a moment longer, then turned back to Eli. We'll talk later. She motioned Clara toward the house. Come inside. You look like you've been sleeping in alleys. Sometimes, Clara said simply. Inside the house was warm, the air rich with the faint scent of wood smoke and old coffee. The furniture was worn, but well-kept quilts draped over chairs. A chipped china set sat neatly in a cupboard. Eli watched from the doorway as Rosalind set about heating soup on the stove, pulling bread from a tin. Clara hovered awkwardly by the table, her eyes never still. You don't have to run, Rosalind said gently, catching the girl's wary glance toward the door. Ain't nobody here gonna hurt you. Clara's mouth tightened, but she nodded once. Eli leaned against the frame, arms crossed, watching the two of them. He wasn't sure what exactly he'd brought home from Deadwood, but seeing the stubborn tilt of Clara's chin, the haunted glint in her eyes, and the way Rosalind's frowns softened despite herself, he had a feeling things at Silver Creek Ranch were about to change. And somewhere back in the shadows of Deadwood, Eli knew Clay Rourke hadn't forgotten them. The girl with wolf eyes was his problem now, and likely his salvation or his ruin. The first few days with Clara Bell under the Turners' roof were tense. Rosalind wasn't a cruel woman, but years of disappointment had left lines on her face and suspicion in her heart. She'd wanted children once desperately, but after 13 years of marriage and a dozen miscarriages, even hope had worn thin. Now, with this hard-eyed street rat eating at their table, sleeping under their roof, Rosalind wasn't sure whether to feel relieved or wary. Eli felt the same, maybe worse. Clara took to the ranch work like she'd been born to it. She mucked stalls, carried water, gathered eggs, and chopped wood with the quiet efficiency of someone used to surviving, not thriving. She never complained, never wasted words, and never seemed fully at ease. But there were moments, small cracks in the armor, when Eli caught a glimpse of the child beneath the sharp edges, like the way her eyes lit up when she watched the horses run in the pasture, or the way her fingers lingered a moment too long on the warm fur of a barn cat. She didn't trust easily, hell. Maybe not at all, but Eli could tell she was watching, waiting, measuring. It reminded him of himself. One morning, Eli found Clara perched on the split-rail fence, eyes scanning the hills like a soldier on watch. Storm's moving in, Eli remarked, tipping his hat back as he approached. Smells like rain, Clara replied, still staring at the horizon. Eli leaned beside her. You keep watch like that all the time. Clara shrugged. Old habit. From Rourke. From life. Eli studied her for a moment, noting the dirt smudges on her cheeks, the two thin wrists poking out from rolled sleeves. For all her bravado, she still looked breakable. You sleepin' all right? He asked. Clara shrugged again, non-committal. Look, I know this ain't exactly a grand welcome wagon, Eli offered, but Rosalind's got a soft heart. It's just been bruised some. I ain't looking for sympathy. Clara cut in. You paid for me. I work. Eli's jaw clenched at the reminder, the damn card game, Rourke's smug face, the way Clara's eyes had met his across that smoky saloon. He hadn't bought her, not really, but the line between rescuing and claiming blurred awful quick in Deadwood. You ain't property, Eli said firmly. You're here 'cause I figured you deserved better than what Rourke had planned. Clara's gaze softened just barely. You always gamble for strays. First time, Eli admitted, might be my dumbest bet yet. A ghost of a smile touched her lips before vanishing. That evening, over a supper of beans, cornbread, and what little beef they had left, Rosalind finally broke the awkward silence. You any good with a needle, Clara? she asked, gesturing toward a basket of mending near the hearth. Clara blinked, surprised. I can patch a shirt ain't pretty. Pretty ain't always practical, Rosalind replied, passing her a torn work shirt. Lord knows Eli's shirts need saving more than they need beauty. Eli rolled his eyes but said nothing as he watched the two of them settle into a cautious rhythm. The clink of spoons, the quiet scrape of thread through fabric. Later that night, as the wind howled around the eaves and the house settled into creaking silence, Eli sat at the kitchen table nursing a cup of coffee. Clara padded in barefoot, her eyes heavy-lidded with exhaustion. Can't sleep? Eli asked. Clara hesitated, then shook her head. Too quiet. Eli chuckled softly. Most folks like quiet. Not in Deadwood. Clara muttered, slipping into a chair opposite him. Quiet means trouble's sneaking up on you. Eli's amusement faded. Ain't Deadwood here? Clara hugged her knees to her chest, eyes darting toward the dark window. Don't mean trouble can't find us. Eli sipped his coffee, the warmth grounding him. The girl wasn't wrong. Trouble had a way of following folks who crossed Clay Rourke. Listen, Eli said carefully. I ain't blind to the fact that Rourke ain't likely to forget about you. Or me, for that matter. But out here, he gestured toward the dark fields beyond the window. We look after our own. Clara's expression was unreadable, but something in her shoulders eased a fraction. You ever work cattle before? Eli asked, changing the subject. No. Ride a horse, stole one once, Clara admitted. Didn't fall off. Eli chuckled. Well, we'll call that beginner's luck. You'll need more than that on a ranch. Clara's lips twitched. I'm a fast learner. Good. You'll need to be. The clock on the wall ticked softly. Outside, a coyote howled, distant and mournful. You still got that street rat fire in you, Eli observed. Clara tilted her chin. Defiant. Only thing kept me alive this long. Eli nodded. Might be the thing keeps this ranch alive, too. They sat in companionable silence for a while longer before Clara stood, her slight frame silhouetted in the low lamplight. Night. Mr. Turner, she said quietly. Eli's fine, he replied, and welcome to Silver Creek. Clara paused at the doorway, eyes flicking toward him. Then, with a small nod, she disappeared into the shadows. Eli exhaled slowly, rubbing a hand over his face. A stranger under his roof, a child with a past tangled in crime and survival. And maybe, just maybe, the best gamble he'd ever made. 3 weeks passed. Life on Silver Creek Ranch settled into a fragile rhythm. Clara Bell worked harder than Eli expected for a girl her age. She rose before dawn, helped muck the barn, hauled water, even learned to saddle a horse under Eli's sharp instruction. Rosalind, wary at first, thawed in her quiet way, teaching Clara to bake cornbread, mend clothes, and scrub the floors till they shone like polished oak. But beneath the small victories, unease lingered like smoke after gunfire. It started with tracks. Eli found them one morning down by the creek, horse prints fresh, too fresh for any of their ranch hands. And there hadn't been any neighbors riding through, not this far off the main trail. At first, he tried to tell himself it was nothing. Maybe a stray cowboy looking for lost cattle. Maybe a hunter. But the feeling in his gut, the same one that kept him alive through saloon brawls and card game betrayals, said otherwise. The second sign came 2 days later. Clara was tending the vegetable patch near the porch when she paused, eyes narrowing toward the eastern hills. Eli, fixing the corral fence, noticed the change in her posture, the stiffness, the way her hand drifted toward the pocket knife on her belt. You see something? Eli called. Clara didn't answer right away. Her gaze remained fixed on the ridge for a long moment before she finally shook her head. Nothing. Just thought I saw a glint like sunlight off glass. Eli's blood went cold, a spyglass. That night he sat at the kitchen table with Rosalind and Clara, laying it all out plain. Tracks near the creek sign of someone scouting the ranch, Eli explained, fingers tapping the rim of his coffee cup. And if someone's watching, they ain't neighbors. Rosalind's face paled. Rourke. Clara shifted uncomfortably in her chair, but didn't speak. Eli's gaze settled on her. If you know something, now's the time to talk. For the first time since she'd arrived, Clara's composure cracked. She fiddled with the frayed edge of her sleeve, eyes darting toward the window as if expecting shadows to materialize. I wasn't just a runner for Rourke, she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. I handled things, handled what Eli pressed. Clara exhaled slowly, the weight of her past pressing down like a storm cloud. His books, his ledgers. I kept track of who owed him what, where the money went, even who the law looked the other way for. Rosalind's eyes widened in disbelief. You were his accountant. Clara's lips curled with bitter amusement. Don't need to be grown to count crooked money, ma'am. Eli leaned forward, his voice low and steady. You steal something from him before you left. Clara hesitated, then reached into her boot, pulling out a small, leather-bound ledger. Its edges were frayed, the binding loose, but Eli recognized it for what it was. Evidence. Ain't just numbers in here, Clara explained, placing the ledger on the table. Names, dates, payoffs, town marshals, judges, maybe even a few Pinkertons. Rosalind covered her mouth with her hand. Horrified, Eli's mind raced. You planned on using this, what, to bargain for your life? Clara nodded. If Rourke came after me, figured I'd trade it for my skin. But now. Her eyes darkened, scanning the familiar walls of the Turner home. Now he's coming here. The room fell into silence, broken only by the crackle of the fireplace. Eli picked up the ledger, thumbing through the pages. The names meant little to him, but the implications were clear. This wasn't some petty street scuffle. Rourke was entrenched, protected by more than just brute force. And if he wanted that book back bad enough to send scouts, things would get ugly. We can take this to the sheriff, Rosalind suggested, though. Her voice wavered with doubt. Eli shook his head. Sheriff Dobbins. His name's probably in here, too. We can't trust no one from town. So what do we do? Clara asked quietly. Eli met her gaze, the weight of responsibility settling heavy on his shoulders. We get ready that night. Eli retrieved his old rifle from the barn loft, the Winchester that had seen him through riverboat skirmishes and saloon ambushes from Kansas City to Cheyenne. The stock was scratched-the-barrel worn, but it still fired true. Clara helped clean the rifle, her small hands surprisingly deft with the oilcloth and tools. You ever shoot? Eli asked. Clara hesitated, then nodded once-twice in Deadwood. Rats, mostly. Eli snorted. Rats or men pulling the triggers the same. It's what comes after that's hard. She didn't reply, but the look in her eyes told him she understood far too well. By morning, Eli had tightened the perimeter fences, reinforced the barn doors, and instructed Clara and Rosalind to stay near the house. He posted himself on the porch, rifle across his lap, eyes scanning the tree line. The shadows of Deadwood stretched long, even out here in the hills. And Eli Turner, gambler turned rancher, knew one thing for certain. The bet he'd made in that smoky saloon wasn't over yet. It had only just begun. The first shot woke him. Eli Turner was out of bed before his boots hit the floor, reaching for the Winchester propped against the nightstand. Across the room, Rosalind bolted, upright, eyes wide with fear. A second shot cracked through the pre-dawn gloom, followed by the distant thunder of hooves. Stay with Clara, Eli ordered, already pulling on his shirt and grabbing his belt. Rosalind's face was pale but determined. Be careful. Eli slipped out the door, rifle in hand, moving down the stairs as another shot echoed off the hills. Outside, the faintest hint of morning light brushed the horizon, casting the ranch in eerie blue shadows. By the time he reached the porch, Clara was already there. She stood barefoot in the cold dirt, her small frame, tense eyes locked on the eastern ridge where dust rose like smoke. A rifle rested in her hands, one of Eli's older Henry repeaters, but her grip was steady, her stance low and ready. They're here, she said simply. Eli followed her gaze. 6 riders emerged from the hill's silhouettes against the growing dawn. Wide-brimmed hats, rifles slung across saddles, the casual menace of men who didn't need to rush. They knew they had the upper hand. At their head rode a man Eli recognized instantly, even from a distance. Jake Mallory Rourke's lapdog, mean as a rattlesnake and twice as dumb, but dangerous all the same. "Stay low," Eli told Clara. "And keep your head, I ain't running," she replied fierce. Eli's stomach twisted with both pride and fear. The kid had backbone, no question, but backbone didn't stop bullets. The riders slowed as they reached the front gate, their horses snorting and stamping. Jake Mallory lifted a hand, signaling his men to halt. "McKinnon," he called, voice rough as gravel, the syllables stretched by a Dakota drawl. "We come for the girl, hand her over, and nobody's gotta bleed." Eli stepped off the porch, rifle resting casually at his side. His heart pounded, but his voice stayed calm. "Name's Turner," he corrected, "and you picked the wrong ranch to trespass on." Jake chuckled. "Don't matter your name, you got something belongs to Mr. Rourke. We aim to take it back behind Eli." The front door creaked as Rosalind peeked out, a shotgun cradled in her arms. Clara remained at the porch rail, eyes sharp, fingers tight on her rifle. "What Rourke wants," Eli said evenly, "ain't on offer." Jake's grin widened, yellow teeth flashing. Shame. Was hoping this'd be easy. Without warning, Jake's hand dropped to his belt. Eli raised the Winchester in one smooth motion. The first shot slammed into the dirt near his feet. Clara's rifle cracked in response, splintering the fence post beside Jake's horse, sending the animal rearing. The raiders scattered gunfire, erupting like a summer hailstorm. Eli dove behind the water trough, bullets chewing into the porch rail. From the loft window, a shotgun blast rang out Rosalind. Clara kept low, returning fire with steady aim that made Eli marvel. The battle was chaotic, smoke and dust swirling as bullets tore through the still morning air. Two of Jake's men tried flanking left toward the barn. Eli sprinted behind the wagon, taking cover. He dropped one with a clean shot to the shoulder. The man crumpled, cursing. The other retreated behind a rock outcropping. Another rider charged the house, firing wildly. Clara's second shot found him square in the chest. The man tumbled from his saddle, hitting the dirt with a bone-snapping thud. Eli's mind raced. They were holding them for now, but 6 men was a lot against 3 defenders, one barely old enough to see over the windowsill, and Rourke never sent half measures. A shout from Jake broke through the gunfire. Enough waste in time, burn him out. Eli's blood ran cold as he saw one of the riders toss a bottle of rag stuffed in its neck flame, licking the top. A Molotov. "Clara." Inside, Eli shouted, but before the bottle could fly, the crack of a distant rifle split the air. The rider's hand exploded in a spray of red. The bottle dropped harmlessly, flames sputtering in the dirt. Eli's head snapped toward the hilltop. Tom Bradley, the old ranch hand trusted as Eli's own brother, stood silhouetted against the ridge, his rifle steady. Beside him, 3 more men appeared, neighboring ranchers, friends. Maybe more than Eli deserved. Relief flooded Eli's chest. Jake saw them too. "Damn it," Jake cursed, yanking his horse around. "We ain't done. Turner." The remaining raiders wheeled their mounts, disappearing back into the hills. For a long moment, silence returned to Silver Creek. Smoke drifted from the porch rail, bullet holes pocked the barn siding, and the faint tang of gunpowder clung to the air. Eli lowered his rifle, shoulders tight with exhaustion. Clara appeared at his side, face pale but steady. "They'll be back," she said simply. Eli nodded. "Yeah, but so will we." The morning after the raid. The sun rose slow and crimson over Silver Creek, casting long shadows across the battered ranch. Smoke still curled from the splintered porch rail, and fresh hoof prints marked the muddy ground like scars. Eli Turner stood at the fence line, arms crossed, jaw tight. Tom Bradley leaned beside him, reloading his rifle. The old ranch hand had more gray in his beard these days, but his eyes stayed sharp as ever. "Rourke ain't done," Tom remarked, breaking the silence. "No," Eli agreed. "He sent Mallory first." "Next time it'll be worse." Tom spat into the dirt. "You got a plan?" Eli didn't answer right away. His gaze drifted to the porch where Clara Bell sat, mending a torn sleeve, her face unreadable. Rosalind fussed over the bullet holes in the siding, muttering under her breath. Eli's gut twisted. He couldn't outrun Rourke, couldn't hide Clara forever, but maybe, just maybe, he could outplay him. That evening, as the stars bled across the Dakota sky, Eli called Clara into the kitchen. The lantern light flickered across the worn wood table, casting shadows like ghosts. "I'm going to town," Eli said simply. Clara's eyes narrowed. Deadwood. Eli nodded. "You got that little book still?" Clara reached into her boot, pulling the leather-bound ledger free. "You gonna trade it?" "Not exactly." Eli slid the book into his coat pocket. "I'm making a deal." Clara's expression darkened with suspicion. "With Rourke, with the devil himself," Eli confirmed. "But on my terms." Rosalind, standing by the stove, sat down her dish rag. "Eli," he held up a hand. "I ain't handing him the girl, but we need this to end. Roz, one way or another." An hour later, under the cover of darkness, Eli saddled his horse and rode into the hills. The trip to Deadwood was quiet. The only sounds, the distant howl of coyotes and the steady rhythm of hooves on dry earth. As the town's flickering lights came into view, Eli's pulse quickened. He hadn't set foot in Deadwood since that cursed card game. Now, he rode straight back into the snake pit. The Silver Saloon was as grimy and crowded as ever. Smoke thickened the air, poker chips clattered across tables, and the sour stench of whiskey and sweat clung to every surface. Eli stepped inside, hat-low eyes scanning. Rourke sat at his usual corner table, flanked by hired guns and painted women. His grin stretched wide when he saw Eli. "Well, well, Turner returns. Thought you'd be buried on that ranch by now." Eli approached slowly, careful to keep his expression neutral. "I ain't here to trade shots," Eli said. "I'm here to trade terms." Rourke chuckled, swirling his whiskey. "What makes you think you got any—" Eli pulled the ledger from his coat, setting it on the table with a soft thud. Rourke's eyes narrowed, his easy grin faltering. "Ledger's got names," Eli explained. "Dates, amounts, payoffs. Enough to burn you clean off the map far as the Pinkertons and circuit judges are concerned." Rourke's smile returned colder this time. "You'd be dead before that book left town." "Maybe." Eli allowed, "But copies travel faster than bullets." A tense beat passed finally. Rourke leaned back, eyes gleaming with calculation. "What do you want?" "You call off your dogs," Eli said. "Leave me my wife and the girl be. You tell your boys Clarabelle's dead, buried under 6 feet of Dakota clay. And you never so much as breathe our names again." Rourke tapped the rim of his glass, considering. "And in return," Eli pushed the ledger toward him, "you get your book, no copies, no threats. You keep your empire, I keep my family." The saloon held its breath. Finally. Rourke snatched the ledger, thumbing through its pages. His jaw tightened at the names, the details, the evidence that could ruin him. "You always were a gambling man, Turner," Rourke mused. "Dangerous game you're playing." Eli shrugged. "Ain't much of a life without risk." Another long pause. Then Rourke snapped the ledger shut, sliding it into his coat. "Done." Eli nodded, though the knot in his stomach didn't ease. Deals with devils never came clean. As Eli turned to leave, Rourke called after him. "You ever cross me again, Turner? Ledger or no ledger, I'll burn that ranch to the ground with you in it." Eli didn't flinch. "You ever ride near my land again, Rourke, you won't ride back." With that, Eli strode from the Silver Ace, mounting his horse beneath the cold, watchful moon. The deal was struck. The girl was safe. For now. But as the shadows of Deadwood faded behind him, Eli knew better than to believe devils kept their word for long. It rained the night Eli returned from Deadwood. A slow, steady drizzle fell over Silver Creek Ranch, soaking the dry ground, filling the air with the scent of wet earth and sagebrush. It was the kind of rain ranchers prayed for, but Eli couldn't enjoy it. Not tonight. Rosalind met him on the porch, arms folded, eyes sharp with questions. Clara lingered in the doorway behind her small frame, barely lit by the flickering lamp inside. Eli dismounted, mud clinging to his boots as he approached. Well, Rosalind asked. Eli nodded once. It's done? Rosalind's jaw tightened. You made the deal. Eli met her gaze. I gave him the ledger. He promised to leave us be. Told him Clara was dead. Clara's eyes flickered with something Eli couldn't quite name. Relief, anger, fear, maybe all three. And you believe him? Rosalind pressed. Eli hesitated, then shook his head. I believe he'll let this cool down for now, long enough for us to breathe. But men like Rourke, they don't forget. They don't forgive. Rosalind's face softened with quiet resolve. Then we make sure we're ready. The following weeks passed without incident. No riders appeared on the ridge, no strange tracks by the creek. It was as if the storm had finally broken and left Silver Creek in peace. But the ranch had changed, and so had its people. Clara Bell worked harder than ever. She rose before dawn. Her small hands blistered from fence repair, her boots caked in mud from tending cattle. Eli taught her how to rope, how to ride properly, how to patch saddles and mend bridles. At night, Rosalind taught her to read and write better, poring over dog-eared books by lantern light. The girl soaked it all up like dry soil after rain. But beneath her quiet focus, Eli sensed a storm brewing, one that had nothing to do with Rourke. It came to a head one warm evening as the sun bled orange across the hills. Clara and Eli were in the barn, oiling tack and stacking feed. "Mr. Turner?" Clara said, suddenly breaking the silence. Eli looked up from the saddle he was repairing. "Yeah, why'd you really gamble for me?" Her voice was steady, but there was an edge beneath it like she'd been holding the question in her gut for weeks. Eli set down the saddle, wiping his hands on a rag. He considered lying, saying it was pity or duty or desperation. But the truth was harder, sharper. "I saw something in your eyes," Eli admitted. "I'd been around long enough to recognize it. Fight anger. But something more. Something stubborn. You reminded me of me, I guess. And I knew if Rourke kept you, he'd grind that out of you." Clara's jaw clenched. "So you bought me to save me." Eli shook his head. "I bought you to give you a choice. Ain't nobody owns you here." Clara's eyes shimmered with something like uncertainty or maybe belief for the first time. "But I ain't just here for charity," she pressed. Eli chuckled softly. "No, you earn your keep and then some." Clara's gaze drifted over the barn, the fields beyond, the cattle moving slow and steady in the twilight. Her expression shifted, resolve settling over her like armor. "Mr. Turner," she said, voice quiet but firm, "I want to stay. Not as charity, not as a hired hand." Eli's brows furrowed. "What are you saying?" Clara took a deep breath. Fists balled at her sides. "I want to be part of this, for real. Your family, your legacy. I want to learn how to run this ranch, not just mend fences or shovel stalls. The real work, the money, the land, the decisions." Eli's throat tightened. He hadn't expected this. Not so soon. But looking at her thin arms, wolf eyes, stubborn chin, he saw not a street rat or a burden, but a survivor. A fighter. Someone meant for more than alleyways and backroom deals. "You sure?" he asked quietly. "It ain't easy, ain't always fair, but it's real." Clara nodded, her jaws set with determination. "I'm sure. I ain't got blood family left, but I can choose one." Eli exhaled slowly, the weight of years settling into his bones. "Then it's settled," he said. "We'll make it official. You're a Turner now." A faint smile broke across Clara's face, small, wary, but real. That night around the supper table, Eli and Rosalind laid it all out. The adoption, the expectations, the responsibilities. Rosalind's eyes shone with quiet tears as she took Clara's hand. "You're not just a stray we took in," Rosalind promised. "You're ours. Blood or no blood." For the first time, Clara Bell didn't flinch from kindness. And under that rain-washed Dakota sky, Silver Creek Ranch gained more than another set of working hands. It gained family. It gained hope. It gained a fighter who would defend it with blood, sweat, and maybe, just maybe, with love. 5 years passed like a prairie storm, fast, fierce, and full of change. By the spring of 1890, Silver Creek Ranch looked nothing like the struggling patch of dirt Eli Turner once feared he'd lose. The fields were green, the cattle fat and healthy, the barns repaired and expanded. But the real transformation wasn't measured in livestock or land. It was in the children. The first arrived on a cold autumn morning, a boy no older than 10, barefoot and rail-thin, clutching a sack of stale bread. His name was Daniel, and he'd run from the mines outside Deadwood after his father was killed in a cave-in. Eli found him sleeping in the hayloft, ready to drag the boy to town until Clara stopped him. "He's me," she had said simply 5 years ago. So they kept Daniel. Then came Ruth, a wiry girl with bruises hidden under her dress and eyes sharp as broken glass. Then Thomas, who couldn't speak, but could fix a fence better than most grown men. Then 2 more, then 4. By 1890, a dozen children called Silver Creek home, and Clara Belle Turner, now 18, was their leader. She ran the ranch with steady hands and sharper eyes than Eli could have hoped for. She taught the younger ones how to mend fences, count cattle, break horses, and more importantly, how to trust again. Eli and Rosalind had built Silver Creek with sweat and stubbornness, but it was Clara who turned it into a sanctuary. One April morning, Eli found Clara down by the creek, teaching Daniel and Ruth how to rope calves. Her voice was patient but firm, her stance confident, her expression full of quiet pride. Eli watched for a while before stepping forward, boots crunching on gravel. "You've got them working like ranch hands already," he remarked. Clara smirked. "They'll thank me for it come roundup season." Eli chuckled, watching Ruth wrangle a calf nearly twice her size. The kid was tough, just like Clara had been. "Been meaning to talk to you," Eli said, resting a hand on the fence. "Rosalind and we've been thinking." Clara raised an eyebrow, always dangerous. Eli's grin faded to something more serious. "We're not getting younger. This ranch, it's more than land. It's a home, a refuge, and it needs someone to run it when I can't." Clara's smirk vanished, replaced by wide, cautious eyes. "You talking about me?" Eli nodded. "You've earned it. You've bled for it. And those kids, they look at you like they did me. Maybe more." Clara fell quiet, her gaze drifting over the ranch, the barns, the fields, the creek, winding through the hills. It was hers as much as theirs now. More. "Maybe," I thought. She hesitated, voice lower. "I thought when I turned 18, I might leave, see the world, but I don't know anymore." Eli studied her, understanding in his eyes. "Ain't no chains holding you here," he said gently. "If you go, we'll miss you, but you've got a home here. You've got family." Clara's jaw set with quiet resolve. "This place saved me." "Eli, you and Rosalind did. If I can do that for someone else, maybe that's enough." Eli's chest swelled with pride, though he kept it buried under his usual rough exterior. "We're proud of you, kid," he said simply. "Whether you stay or run this whole damn ranch." Clara smiled, then a real full smile that reached her eyes. That summer, Silver Creek's reputation spread beyond the Dakota Territory. Folks in town whispered about the ranch that took in strays and turned them into cowhands. Even Sheriff Dobbins, once suspicious, now tipped his hat in respect. Children came from as far as Wyoming and Nebraska. Orphans, runaways, those discarded by life, all found work shelter, and for the first time, hope. But it wasn't all peace. Clara never forgot Deadwood or the man who still cast a long shadow. Clay Rourke hadn't been seen in years. Some said he left for Colorado. Others claimed the Pinkertons finally caught up to him. But Clara knew better. Men like Rourke didn't just disappear. One autumn evening, as the sun bled crimson across the hills, Clara stood on the porch watching storm clouds roll in. Her fingers traced the scar along her forearm, the faint reminder of what it cost to earn peace. Rosalind joined her, wrapping a shawl around her shoulders. "You okay?" Rosalind asked softly. Clara nodded, eyes on the horizon, just thinking. About the past, about the future. Rosalind squeezed her hand. "You built something here, Clara. Something worth protecting." Clara's gaze lingered on the children playing in the yard, their laughter soft and sweet. "Yeah," she whispered, "and I'll protect it no matter what." Silver Creek wasn't just a ranch anymore. It was a sanctuary, and Clara Belle Turner would fight tooth and nail to keep it that way. The spring of 1900 dawned warm and bright across the Dakota Plains. Silver Creek Ranch stretched wide and green, a patchwork of cattle pastures, weathered barns, and rolling hills kissed by sunlight. The air buzzed with the promise of a good season, rich grass for the herd-fat calves in the spring, and most importantly, peace. Clara Belle Turner stood on the front porch, arms crossed, watching a wagon roll down the main road toward the house. The rickety wheels kicked up dust as it approached, carrying 3 familiar figures. Tom Bradley, grizzled and smiling as always, sat at the reins. Beside him, a boy of maybe 12 with sharp eyes and hollow cheeks. In the back, huddled together, 2 smaller children, a girl no older than 8 and a boy barely 5, both clinging to a tattered blanket. New arrivals. Clara's heart twisted, a familiar ache she'd never quite gotten used to. She knew the look, the wide, wary eyes, the thin limbs, the guarded expressions. She'd worn the same mask once, what felt like a lifetime ago. Eli Turner stepped out onto the porch beside her, gray, now streaking his beard, but his eyes still steady and sharp. "More lost ones," he remarked softly. Clara nodded. Marcus from the orphan committee said they'd come. Rosalind appeared at the door, apron dusted with flour. "Lord, they look like they've been dragged through the Badlands backwards." "They probably have," Clara replied, already descending the porch steps. The wagon rattled to a stop in the yard. Tom tipped his hat. "Brought your new charges, boss." Clara arched an eyebrow at the familiar teasing. "Boss now? Is it?" Tom grinned. "Always was." Clara approached the boy first. He stared up at her with suspicion, arms folded across his thin chest. "Name?" she asked gently. "James," he muttered. "You hungry, James?" The boy hesitated, then nodded, too proud to beg, but too honest to lie. "We'll fix that," Clara promised, turning to the others. "What about you two?" The girl peeked out from under the blanket. "Ellie," she whispered, "and Billy. We don't got nobody." "You do now," Clara said softly. Within an hour, the newcomers were washed, fed, and settled into the bunkhouse with the other children. Ruth, now 16 and tall as a fence post, showed them around with quiet efficiency. Daniel, nearly grown and as broad-shouldered as Eli, tended the horses and promised to teach James the ropes. Eli and Rosalind watched from the porch as Clara took charge, her calm presence steady as the hills. "She's turned this place into something." Rosalind murmured, pride in her voice. Eli nodded. "More than cattle. More than land. A future." That evening, the family gathered in the big dining room, Turner's by blood and by choice. The long table groaned with stew, cornbread, and fresh milk. Laughter echoed off the walls, warm and familiar. After supper, as the children played outside under a violet sky, Eli poured coffee for himself and Clara at the kitchen table. 10 years ago, he began swirling the cup in his hands. "I thought bringing you here was a mistake. Thought you'd break this place. Or we'd break you." Clara sipped her coffee, amused. "Fair, but I was wrong." Eli continued. "You saved this ranch, saved us." Clara's smile faded to something softer. "You saved me first." Eli shook his head. "We gave you shelter. You turned it into a home. Outside." The stars blinked awake, scattered across the black prairie sky. Clara's gaze drifted toward the bunkhouse where shadows of young figures danced in the lamplight. "You ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "The deal." Rourke. Eli leaned back in his chair, creaking wood filling the space. "Not for a second." Clara exhaled, her eyes distant. "I still think about him. What if he comes back?" Eli's hand rested over hers, calloused and steady. "We'll be ready." "Same as always." Clara nodded, the tight knot of fear loosening, if only a little. They sat in companionable silence for a while, watching the ranch settle for the night. Tomorrow the work would begin again. Fences to mend cattle, to count children, to feed and teach and protect. But tonight there was peace. As the moon climbed higher, casting silver light over the fields, Clara whispered words she hadn't spoken aloud in years. This is home." Eli squeezed her hand. "And you're the heart of it." In the years that followed, Silver Creek Ranch became more than legend. It became a sanctuary known across the Dakota Territory. Newspapers printed stories of the place where orphans became cowhands, where runaways learned to ride and read, where the lost found not just shelter, but purpose. And at the center of it all stood Clara Belle Turner, the girl with wolf eyes turned woman with steady hands and an iron will, the girl Eli Turner had gambled for, the girl who changed everything. If you reckon the West ain't just about outlaws and six-shooters, but about stubborn folks patching up broken lives, about ranch gates swinging wide for the lost, and about the kind of family you choose, then pull up a chair by the fire and hitch your wagon to the Wild West stories. 'Cause legends out here ain't always carved by bullets. Sometimes they're built by quiet hands, heavy hearts, and the grit to protect what matters most. Another tale's riding your way soon. Keep your hat close and your heart open. I'll be right here.